It's 5 reasons why the Iowa Hawkeyes can pull off a massive upset, probably the greatest upset of the season so far, in Columbus against the third-ranked undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes, who are currently a 20.5-point favorite. I have already made a 5 reasons why Ohio State will beat Iowa video, and I also have made a preview and prediction video for this matchup between the Buckeyes and the Hawkeyes, where I picked Ohio State to win 30-17. If you want to see both of those videos, and I encourage you to do so, click the link down below, or the links plural down below in the pinned comment, and check those out. Thank you very much. And also, if you want to get notified when I cover more games this week, or when I release a 5 reasons why Washington will beat Michigan video, why Michigan will beat Washington, why Nebraska or Rutgers will beat each other, so on and so forth for the games that I'm going to cover and go in greater detail on, hit that notification bell. Thank you very much, and let's dive right in and get to reason number 1 why Iowa will win this game. And that is running back Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson right now is averaging a whopping 8 yards per carry, 8.4 to be exact. He has 9 rushing touchdowns. He has 685 rushing yards on 82 carries. Just a little round of applause, or moment of silence rather, for the opponents that Iowa has played, because Caleb Johnson has mauled them repeatedly. He has 26 receiving yards too, not involved too much through the air, but the junior from Hamilton, Ohio, 6 foot, 225 pounds, has ran for 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, 9.8 yards per carry against Minnesota. He ran for 187 yards, 7.5 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns against Iowa State. 2 touchdowns each against Troy and Illinois State as well, where he also ran for 6.9 yards per carry or greater. Really came on the scene against Illinois State, where he had a long touchdown and some pretty good runs. Against Iowa State, he had several long carries, did very well on toss plays, stretch plays. It helps when you have tight ends and also offensive linemen who can block initially at the point of attack and then also get to the second level and block downfield. That's what Caleb Johnson has, and he's had an extremely high success rate against stacked boxes. Ohio State's defense is typically very conservative. That's how it was last season with rare exception. That's how it has been so far this season, and I don't expect Ohio State's defense to show much until they have to. Whether that is in this game, which if Iowa's going to win, yeah, Ohio State will probably try and bring some things out to avoid this upset if it's close, if it's competitive, beyond where Ohio State wants it to be. And certainly against Oregon, against Penn State, against Michigan, you know Ohio State is going to bring out all the cards, all the tools that they have in their tool set and in their pockets. Caleb Johnson is someone who can overcome limitless adversity on the field. And you see that with how he's had success against stacked boxes, does a good job of breaking tackles, has phenomenal body control, stays in bounds and can tightrope the sidelines, has great breakaway speed, and also power. He's everything that you want in a running back, and he is reason number 1 why I think that Iowa can and will win this football game. If you have not already figured out, even though I've picked Ohio State to win this game, for games that I think are big-time matchups, and I also think that both sides consequentially have a chance to win, I like to cover all my bases. I like to give reasons why I think each team can win their matchup. So that's that. I just wanted to shoot that out there because not many, if any, are picking Iowa to win this game. I think they can. That's why I'm making this video. But don't kid yourself into thinking that I'm actually picking the Hawkeyes, or I'm just giving reasons why they will win if they do. And before we get to reason number 2, which is Iowa's incredible offensive line, which I think has really taken a step forward after returning all of their production practically from 2022, I want you, yes, you watching, to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, to click the notification bell, to comment 5 of your own reasons. You can use mine and expand upon them. Just do whatever you want. Comment 5 of your own reasons why you think Iowa can win this game, will win this game. If you have a very hard time even seeing Iowa win, just give me 1 or 2 reasons, maybe, why they will win in the comments section. And also check out our Discord server via the links in the description and down below in the pinned comment, where we talk college football 24/7. There's a dedicated Iowa and Ohio State football conversation thread. There are dedicated conversational threads to all 18 Big Ten teams. We talk college football all the time. You won't want to miss it. So join our Discord server. And again, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, comment. It's just that simple. Helps you out and also helps this channel out. But Iowa's incredible offensive line. They've done a very good job of run blocking. They've improved at pass blocking. And this unit is deep. They have a plethora of seniors in their starting lineup. And you look at the numbers here for Iowa, where they are on the season running for 6 yards per carry. Large part of that's Caleb Johnson, but Jason Patterson, Kamari Moulton, Max White, basically every running back outside of LaShawn Williams is running for 4 yards per carry or more. And that's very impressive. And it's not just because Iowa's running back room is well coached, well developed, they recruit well and scout well at the position. It's because of the offensive line. And I think that Iowa also has a reputable strength and conditioning program. So you mix all of those things up and add in the experience they have on the lines of scrimmage, well, you're going to get a successful rushing offense. Now, Iowa's pass protection is not in the realm of elite. I don't think Cade McNamara helps them there either because, well, he's not mobile. And having a mobile quarterback like Ohio State's Will Howard, for example, is going to make the life of your offensive tackles that much easier in pass protection because you can move around, you can dodge pressure, you can escape the pocket, so on and so forth. McNamara's only been sacked 4 times this season. I know it's through 4 games. They've played Iowa State. They've played Minnesota. Those are really the only competent defenses they have faced. But if you end the season only averaging a sack allowed per game, that's not elite, but that is better than most college football teams. That is closer to the great, good side of things than the bad, terrible side of things. Much closer. And I just like what I see from Iowa's offensive line, especially on outside runs, tosses, stretches, really things where you have to get the tight end involved or you have to pull offensive linemen. I really like what I see from them. And I think that they are going to give this Ohio State defensive line a challenge. And that is a reason why Iowa will win this football game, is they will be able to consistently run against a really good Ohio State front. They'll be able to block well, protect McNamara in the limited situations that they pass, open up just enough of a hole or multiple holes for Caleb Johnson to just dart through and consistently extend drives thanks to an offensive line that is deep and paired with tight ends may do a fairly good job of taking advantage of a defense that is perfectly content so far this season and last season. We have closer to a 20-game sample size of this style of Jim Knowles defense than not, where they are perfectly willing to give up yardage in between the 20s as long as you don't get in the end zone. Once you get into the end zone or the red zone, well, at that point you're already there, and Iowa has a reliable kicker, so they'll kick a field goal or they'll score a touchdown. It's just critical, given Iowa's history on offense, a pretty poor history, that you get into a position where you can score. And I think Iowa's offensive line can do that. You look at the tight ends that Iowa has, expanding upon what we were talking about with Iowa's, in my mind, solid run blocking, if not better than solid run blocking. The tight ends they have, matched up against an Ohio State linebacker room that does have some inexperience, I think is something that favors the Hawkeyes here. You look at tight ends Luke Lachey, Addison Ostrenga, Zach Ortworth, 25 receptions on the year, 195 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. This is a very deep tight end room, and they're good at blocking too. So don't just pay attention to them in their receiving threat. Pay attention to them in their blocking threat. I think both will be showcased this Saturday against the Ohio State Buckeyes, especially with the threat, of course, as we've already talked about, that Caleb Johnson presents. A lot of his long runs have not just been due to him breaking tackles and being shifty and never giving up. It's also been because his tight ends are, well, they block one guy and they shift over and block another guy, and they just keep doing their job all the way down the field until the play ends. There isn't any quit in this Iowa team, and their tight ends really embody that. Luke Lachey, especially, known as a receiving threat, got injured last season. Right now, he is their leading tight end in both receptions and receiving yards. He has 12 receptions, 97 yards, 8.1 yards per reception. Tim Lester has tried to use the wide receiver position a lot more than Brian Ferentz has, and I think that is for quite obvious reasons. It's better to have an elite receiver room than an elite tight end room, typically. There are a few exceptions to this, like Georgia and Michigan have showcased in the past that having a game breaker at tight end or multiple good tight ends or both can really help you if you have an elite offensive line and you want to pound the rock to make life difficult for teams. Iowa could be an exception here, but their wide receiver core was so bad that they did need upgrades there. I think that looking at Cade McNamara, the fact that he is limited passing the football, and that Iowa's strength is clearly running the ball. It's clearly their offensive line. It's blocking. I think that if there is going to be a passing attack that does emerge, it is going to be mainly the tight ends who are utilized, because Jacob Gill and Reese Vanderzee have done a good job this year, better than I expected. They're not doing anything against Denzel Burke and Jordan Hancock. Even if Iowa wins this game, they won't be highlighted without some kind of genius play calling or coverage busts. They're not winning one-on-one against those guys. But Iowa's tight ends against Ohio State's linebackers, they can win one-on-one without necessarily some genius scheming behind them. Reason number 4 is Phil Parker's Hornet secondary. I call it a Hornet secondary because they are fast, they are mean, they are hard-hitting. They will take you out, literally out of the game. We saw this against Penn State last season in 2021. We have seen it multiple times in years after 2021 or before 2021, where Iowa's defense, especially the secondary, is disciplined with tackling, they're hard-hitting, and they'll injure you psychologically too by picking you off, by scoring defensive touchdowns, by just waiting for you to make one tiny mistake. You know how in life you feel like you sometimes just can't have a perfect day, even though everything's good. Something small happens, and sometimes it's irritating. Well, Iowa takes that small amount of irritation, that small amount of margin for error, and they pull it and expand it to its maximum. Last year, they struggled at intercepting quarterbacks. They had less than an interception per game. Well, right now, they're averaging over an interception per game. They're doing a better job of forcing fumbles, of getting turnovers. They have struggled in defending the pass so far when it comes to big plays, but it's very occasional, and it's something that I imagine over the bye week could be corrected. So if you're an Ohio State fan watching this, and Ohio State staff I know is not doing this, don't count on Iowa's secondary being much weaker than it has been in prior seasons, because when you really dig deep, it's a few busted plays, and outside of that, and it was mainly to, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel of Iowa State, who had a great quarterback, have one in Rocco Becht. For Ohio State, they have a better passing offense, absolutely. But with a bye, with the reputation of Phil Parker, and the fact that they're improving, because they do have some youth there at corner, especially with a big-time player like Cooper DeJean leaving. He was a generational cornerback in college and a really Swiss Army knife type player. They return a lot there, but cornerback spot opposite of Jermari Harris, and the safeties have had some struggles this season. But again, over the bye week, with the reputation of Phil Parker, the defense that he has, the fact that linebacker and D-line's pretty secure, this is going to be a defense that gets better and better as the season goes on. They did last year. Even with Cooper DeJean being injured, their defense was still phenomenal later in the season, and it got better and better and better as the year went on. And then the reason they fell apart against Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl is because, well, they're not all that used to defending the zone read. So that's something that maybe Ohio State can and probably will use to move this Iowa defense. But Will Howard can't be throwing a near pick in the end zone, or he can't throw into double coverage because he thinks his receiver can teleport back to the football. If he does that, he may not just throw a pick or 2 or 3, he could throw a pick 6. And in a game like this where both defenses are elite and it could be low scoring, even though the spread suggests Ohio State's going to win big, a pick 6 can make all the difference. So that's reason number 4 why Iowa will win this game, is a Phil Parker secondary, a Phil Parker coached defense. Phil Parker, he is the nation's best defensive coordinator. Jim Knowles is up there, but what Phil Parker has done with minimal talent and over a year by year an annual basis is more impressive than any defensive coordinator has done in recent memory. Not just current DCs, but even a past college DC like Jesse Minter, who's doing a phenomenal job in the NFL. And finally, this is similar to Ohio State, who in reason number 5 for why they'll beat Iowa, I also gave the reason that they have a near elite D-line. It's the same thing with Iowa. Iowa currently has 10 sacks on the season. They only allow 64 rushing yards per game. This is a legitimate unit. You have Aaron Graves, you have Deontay Craig, you have Yahya Black, you have Ethan Hurkett. Those are the 4 starters on Iowa's defensive line. And then at linebacker, this probably should have been on this list as the linebacker play, but I don't think that Ohio State is going to use their tight ends a bunch against this Iowa linebacker core. And ultimately, yeah, Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson should have been on this list, but I can put that in the comment section. This defensive line has, I think, done an all right job at getting to the quarterback. They have had to blitz often to get significant pressure, but they do have enough players to where maybe they can generate some, and more importantly, they've done a good job holding their own in the rushing attack. And a big part of that's also due to Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson. This front 6 that Iowa uses in their 4-2-5 is vicious. And I don't know if it is one of their better front 6s under Phil Parker. It feels like it is. I don't exactly know for certain, but they're good. They're disciplined. They hold opponents to under 3 yards per carry on the ground. They're impressive. And I just like what they have defensively, not just in the secondary, not just at linebacker, but also on the defensive line. This is the best defensive line that Ohio State has played all season long. I think Michigan State may have been better at generating pressure, but part of that may have been due to blitzing. I don't know exactly. But when it comes to defending the run, Iowa is by a mile the best defensive line they have played all season. Iowa has, by a long shot, the best defense, the only elite defense that Ohio State has played so far this season. So that's reason number 5 why I think Iowa will win this game, is they have a defensive line that can cause some disruptions in the pass. More importantly, maybe what they can do is make Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins work a little bit harder than they're used to through 4 games. And in that circumstance, if you're Ohio State, unless Henderson is really showing a difference from who he has been, where typically home run hitter, breakaway speed, but when he hits contact, maybe falls forward for a yard at most, then you may see more Quinshon Judkins, who's more of the tackle buster, more of the power back of the two, which I think is why he's getting more carries right now. I think that Henderson overall, when healthy, is the better running back, and the better your offensive line gets, the better Henderson gets in comparison to Judkins. But with Henderson, I do think that he has shown this season that he's better at pushing people forward, at churning his legs forward and having that power, but he's done it against defenses that are nowhere near as talented as this one. Ohio State playing Iowa's defense, especially against this defensive line, will give you a good idea of how good their rushing offense is. Of course, And this is a 5 reasons why Iowa will win video, so I'm not going to talk about this for more than a few seconds. If Iowa's offense completely no-shows, then the reasons for why Iowa will win defensively completely fall apart, because you need the offense and the improvements on offense for Iowa to come forward if they want to win this game. That's why Caleb Johnson, the offensive line, and the tight ends were the top 3 reasons, because the defense can play elite, but if the offense doesn't come to play, well, Ohio State is going to easily cover that spread in Columbus. Go Hawkeyes, by the way, seeing this as a 5 reasons why Iowa will win video. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment your thoughts down below. Thanks to Crash2488 and Brasco Rascal for being Heisman members. Thanks to Chris Lane, Carlo OH, Ismar, Tyler 9, Chilton Cush for being All-American members. And thanks to John Lynn, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Sale, Austin Christmas, and Janisha Cockrell for being all-conference members. Have a great day. Make sure to check out my merchandise store, Patreon page, and Discord server via the links in the description and down below in the pinned comment. Go Hawkeyes and go Buckeyes. I'll see you all very soon.